Hi, this is Richard Pears. I'm from FinextraTV and I'm joined today by Rupesh Khendry. Rupesh looks after capital markets for Microsoft in the global strategy team. Rupesh, thanks for joining me today.
Oh, thank you. Always a pleasure to chat with you.
Fantastic. I'm sure people know we used to work together when I was in the same industry team, but you're very much in charge of this capital markets team in terms of the strategy, and today we're talking about sustainable finance. What are you seeing? What does it mean to you? How are you seeing the market when it comes to sustainable finance?
Yeah, it's certainly a topic of the day, I think, with clients as we speak with our clients worldwide. There's a growing interest about not only understanding sustainable finance and what it means to them internally as a company and an enterprise, and how they do better by doing good, but it's a lot about also how our clients are beginning to now evaluate companies beyond the fundamental ways that they look at businesses, at earnings and balance sheets and financial reports, which is more structured data. But how do you get behind the scenes and really understand what is a company's stance on some things such as carbon footprint? How do they evaluate areas such as diversity and inclusion? What does just independence of the board mean? And these so far have been soft factors that asset managers and wealth managers have looked at behind the scenes in an informal manner, but now we're really seeing it hit prime time. Clients are increasingly looking at a lot more data. As you know, our industry is overloaded with data, but how do you look at specific data or factors, as they call them, to increasingly understand what's behind that company and the DNA within it? So the sense we're getting is that over the next few years, this will become as much important as any fundamental factor that clients are tracking to evaluate a company. And a lot of institutions we speak to, some of the largest asset managers in the world, believe that this will really be a key factor that will help identify companies, even as they sort of grow in sort of their growth phase, but even the largest companies in the world, and it'll make a difference in terms of how they're evaluated as compared to their peers.
Yeah, so you've got a lot of people are using ESG as one of the key measurements that's being used, environmental, social and governance measurements. And of course there is some debate in the market about the standardization of what that means, the taxonomies, the data schemas and so forth. What do you think, from your Microsoft perspective, can be done to, if you like, give confidence that that measurement is actually giving people what they are choosing to invest in?
Sure. In some ways, it's all about the data, right? It's about leveraging various sources of data. Thus far in our industry has been pretty much structured information. But now as you go beyond it and look at unstructured data, you look at alternative data. And a lot of clients are now trying to understand various sources of data in terms of geospatial information, climate information, how many cars are there in a parking lot as you evaluate a retail store, for instance. These are all inputs that can lead to a huge amount of insights as you look at corporates. But in many ways, ESG is a lot more than that. I mean, there's environmental factors, there's social factors, and there's governance factors. And each of these are, think of these as umbrella terms as we see it. Underneath this is subsectors, and if you drill down to it, individual elements that sort of add up to all of this. Now, I think it plays really well into Microsoft as a platform because, we are the platform company and we want to build that ecosystem for our clients. So it's about sourcing all sorts of data. It's about being able to ingest that data into the enterprise data model. It's about being able to compute it, analyze it, visualize it, and report it.
Yeah.
So think of this as an end-to-end chain. And obviously the power of the cloud and AI just makes it all real.
Yeah.
Clients today have the ability to surface a huge amount of data, have the ability to actually analyze this across multiple metrics and provide to their stakeholders the kind of insight they're looking for, which has not been available so far.
Yeah, I think that's so much the case, isn't it? And people are still quite often thinking that you have to sort of be cutting data away all the time and trying to get to a single source of truth.
Yeah.
But actually, I think the position for most firms around ML and AI is actually more data the better. More unstructured data the better, and protect your data, have a good data strategy. Is that right? Is that still where
absolutely.
you would feel?
I think you hit the nail on the head. The days of enterprise data warehouses and pulling all of the data logically or physically in one location, I think in some ways old news. Now it's about leveraging all kinds of data, wherever it resides or in transit, or in residence, to be able to pull those insights together and create this version of analytics that can now look at it not only from a historic sense, but really in terms of predictability and being proactive, so that you are not only looking at a company in terms of where it is today, but you're able to then pattern it in terms of the right signals to show you where they're going in their corporate journey.
And so once you've got this data, obviously it's going to allow you to understand your risk position better, and perhaps we could talk about that another day. We haven't really got time today. But there's obviously going to be a lot of opportunities which come from this in terms of products and distribution. What do you think are the sort of opportunity areas that are going to present themselves?
Yeah, it's a great point, and depending on which institution or which segment we speak to, there are different use cases coming about. Clearly in the wealth management segment and private banking, institutions are looking at providing insights to their high-end investors in terms of opportunities in the marketplace that would potentially be leveraging some of these new capabilities. So you identify your target investment opportunities in a much better manner. So that's one way of client experience. But on the other side, in the institutional area, we're seeing this manifest much larger in terms of identifying the next new unicorn, so to speak, or the next new big company, based on really what they're doing from the ethics standpoint, what they're doing from a carbon footprint standpoint, like I mentioned, and all the way to all of these ESG factors. I was speaking to some clients recently, and they're already tracking 300 to 400 factors or metrics, as you call it, and they've been doing this for many years. And the key is going to be, how are you able to get that information available across your various data sources and have that right analytics platform that can actually evaluate and analyze the various data points so that you can serve this across multiple of your stakeholders.
Yeah.
And finally, it's about various sources of data, and we're seeing all these elements bake out even in our partner solutions. We're able to now pull this together as a packaged offering, as we're seeing a lot of interest in the marketplace from clients.
Fantastic. So in a way, you're going to be looking for a needle in a haystack and finding a unicorn. So
yeah,
that's
absolutely.
That's the way we're going to go.
That's the North Star, I think.
That's the North Star. Brilliant. Well,
right.
Fantastic. Thanks so much for coming on. And I hope we'll have the conversation follow on in a bit more detail later on. Rupesh, thanks a lot.
Thank you. Absolutely. Always a pleasure to talk with you.
Thanks a lot.